so I'd like to introduce you to the duo behind the Work Salary Men. We have Ruiming and Choon. So I'm personally a big fan of the Work Salary Men's content. So when they agreed to speak with us at Creative Mornings Singapore, I'm very excited because, we see their work on Instagram, we hear their voices on the podcast, and now we get to meet them in person. So a little background about the Work Salary Men. It was founded in 2019 as a side hustle for both of them. Ruiming works on the copywriting and Wei Chun does the illustration. So the Work Salary Men aims to inspire, educate, and remind people to cultivate a healthy and sustainable relationship through with money through effective content. So currently the Work Salary Men is 2 years old and they have more than 200,000 followers on both Facebook and Instagram. And they recently just started a podcast on Spotify. So, show them some love. They have 2 episodes over there with the first one on fire. If you're not familiar with it, we might get into it, or you can also listen to the podcast. So welcome Ruiming and Wei Chun from the Work Salary Men and Sarah from Creative Mornings Singapore, who will be our moderator today. Show them some love.
Hey, hi guys. Good morning.
Hey.
Hi, morning. Oh. All right. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have quite a lot of questions we want to ask you. There are so many things that we are curious about, especially with the theme so interesting like this one, which is procrastinate. I think the first thing that we want to ask you guys is, procrastination. Are you guys for it, or are you totally against it? Like you shouldn't procrastinate at all in your life? What do you guys think?
I think procrastination, I don't think anyone should be for it. I think there are reasons why people procrastinate, and there are some advantages to it. I was really thinking about what are some of the advantages of procrastination. And I think some dishes that you might cook, some things are nice when you leave it to stew for a long time. And creatively, there are some things that can benefit from having sort of just stewed on it for a long time. But most times I think it is actually not good to procrastinate. I don't think anyone will go, I am for procrastination. What do you think, Remy?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the thing that most people have pushed back on, because society always says procrastination is bad. I think what people mostly agree on is that you should not beat yourself up for procrastinating, because it does happen. So it's kind of having a medical condition. You shouldn't, I mean, of course nobody wants to have a medical condition, but it happens, and when it happens you don't hate yourself for it. You just realize it's a natural part of the process, and then you just learn how to get out of it. I think that is what I'll describe a procrastination as. Maybe it's like a bout of diarrhea.
Yeah, the guilt thing is the worst thing. I think what helped me a lot when and this is a book I recommend generally speaking. It is Atomic Habit by James Clear, and he talks a little bit about procrastination. Actually, he has a really fantastic article on procrastination on his blog. You just search James Clear and procrastination, and you'll find it. And he talks about, and what helped me the most, I mean, he talked about so many things in that book, but the biggest takeaway for me was to not beat ourselves up about it, because procrastination really is the enemy of productivity, and also for us to do the things that we want to do, especially when it comes to our long-term objectives, right? And then our short-term self, our present self always sabotages that, because our present self wants to enjoy right now. So it's always a battle. He talks about it as a battle between your present self and your future self. And your future self and your future perspective is better at thinking long-term about the objectives that you want to accomplish. Have a healthier lifestyle, eat better, finish the work on time and all this stuff. But then the present self just doesn't enjoy doing it. So because it is a thing about productivity, the vicious thing about procrastination is that feeling guilty about it sabotages the productivity again, because you just feel like crap, and then you just think you can't do it, you lose hope, and then you just think there's no way I can even start doing it. All this cycle starts happening, and I'm super familiar with it also, and I'm sure you guys are. That's why I think the first thing to get out of the way, what Ruiming said, don't beat yourself up about it.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all procrastinated, right, at some point. But I agree with you. I think as much as it is part of the process, sometimes it stops our productivity in that sense. I think a lot of us have come to the talk also because they know you from the Woke Salaryman. How does that come about? Was there any process of procrastination when you guys started the when you guys started the page?
I'm laughing because we have talked about this
Or was it
a
something that
few
you're like,
times. So
Yeah.
the work salary mess, like Ruiming and I have been trying stuff for a long time and failing and stuff, like just to
Right.
do something on social, because we work for this company called Mothership that does local news media on social media. So we had a very strong sense about what social media content should be, and we always wanted to make it work. And so we've been trying stuff and then like failing here and there. But we always meet up socially because Rumi and I are friends, like we're actual friends, like in real life friends, which sometimes makes things difficult. But then like we always meet up and then we're like, how to make money, how to make something good on social media. What can we do for ourselves? Like start our own thing. And this is when we were still 9 to 5. So Ruiming writes, and he writes on this site called Medium. Maybe Ruiming, you want to talk about the first article that you did. You know where I'm going with this, right? The procrastination thing.
Yeah,
It's
I
me
know.
lah, right? Yeah, okay, but you can talk about your article first.
Yeah, so actually, I mean, I have not said this before, but actually I procrastinated writing that article before. So when I wrote the article, the
Which
first
article is it?
that helped us go viral. I mean, before we even started the comic series, there was like one article that went viral by itself. It was about how to save 100,000 before you turn 30.
Yeah.
So for that one, I actually wrote it when I was feeling quite shitty at my previous job lah, because I was more of a content person and I was in an advertising agency, and I think content and content marketing, or like content writing and advertising writing, copywriting, aren't necessarily like the same thing. And for the longest time I felt very disillusioned, and I told myself like, hey, I want to prove to my colleagues that, you know, actually content writing has a lot of potential. But
Yeah.
I think because of like the self-doubt that I had, it took me maybe like more than a year to write that first article, because like I just felt like I wasn't good enough, or you know, or people might like judge me for the article, or like what, like they'll kind of go like, what is he trying to achieve by writing this article, you know? But eventually I think it just got to the point that I just decided to do it. And then the first version article got like 500 shares. And then I told Wei Choon that, hey, you know, actually, if you add some cute illustrations to it, I think it might actually do very, very well on Facebook. And then of course there was another round of procrastination because Wei Choon just sat on it for another like 1 month or so. He basically procrastinated. I mean, he's going to say something like, because I was not even paying him, right? Because at the time we're not even business.
Yeah, it's
Right.
part of that like. It's like I just am lazy anyway. I have a thing with video games. It's something I'm trying to get through right now also, like especially as a self-employed person. Sometimes I have time on my hands and I will want to play video games at, I don't know, 9 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, so one thing was I took umbrage at the fact that he asked me to do this and it's his article, and then he said cute illustrations, and then I felt like, wow, what do you mean cute illustrations? Like, I'm just dressing on for your article, but then I got over it. Like, I mean, like sometimes my ego can be quite a big enemy to me, so I eventually got over that. Then came the actual procrastination. Like, I just don't want to do it because it's not fun, and oftentimes the things that are worth doing are not fun. Otherwise, they won't even be in your realm of consideration, right? Like there are a million and one things that are not pleasant to do. Why is it that there are these 5 unpleasant things that keep hovering around you, causing you pain and suffering? It's because they are worthwhile sufferings to take on. So like I don't want to get too Buddhist or whatever. I'm not Buddhist as well. I'm just it's like sometimes really the suffering is the path. Like you need to go towards difficult things, because difficult things are even in your mind, because your macro perspective understands that these difficult things would make your life better. So
Right.
things like doing the dishes, cleaning my hamster's cage, all these things are not fun. I don't want to do it, but every time I do it, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I've made my life better. So yeah, I procrastinate, but I think everybody will keep struggling with it. There's very few people that have achieved perfection when it comes to like procrastination. There are few like workaholics then. And there, I think there are crazy people, like people like Elon Musk, people like Jeff Bezos, and they work continuously, and we glorify them as sort of like paragons of productivity, which they are. But I also think there's maybe a bit of mental illness associated with it. Granted, it's a very productive and positive one.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's a normal thing, like Elon Musk. I mean, people say he's rich or not. He works extremely hard. Like, it's crazy. You just look at his schedule, it's insanity. Like, I can't do it. So he has a better net worth than me. Okay lah, good lah. Like, not for me lah. I sometimes wish it was, but also I don't think so. I got better at procrastination a little bit, but I still have better ways to do things from day-to-day basis. Just keep getting better lor. Right.
I think one thing that you guys have said that resonated with me is the failing process. And I think going back to what you said, Chun, like, the suffering part of it, because failing is something that we don't look forward to, right? And like, who looks forward to failing when we start a project? Or I think quite a lot of our audience this morning are entrepreneurs who are starting their own business, or they started their own business. I think failing is such a big part of starting out. And a lot of us procrastinated in a way to avoid that failure, right? And like just the not nice feeling. Is there any kind of like advice that you guys would give to kind of get over that procrastination of the kind of like the fear of failure almost, or like the fear of just going out there and trying it out, whether maybe it's a new project in your current company, or whether it's like even starting a new business like what you guys have done?
For me, I'm somebody who is very naturally pessimistic, and I critique myself constantly, almost to the point where it's unfair to myself, and I have to keep reminding myself to be fair to myself. So for me, the fear of failure is extremely potent and present at all times. And the way I got around it, I think people have natural tendencies, and I think you are naturally not going to be an entrepreneur if you have that fear of failure. But for me, it's great that I have Ruiming, because Ruiming pushes me to just put stuff out. And for me, actually, I feel like it's an ego thing, I feel like as an artist, right, I'm better than this, let's say if I'm drawing something and I can only accomplish it to 80% because of time and also my ability, because your vision as an artist or as a creative is always going to be higher than your actual ability. So when that happens, right, I'm not at my vision, and I never will be, but I don't want to put it out because I just think I'm better than this when I'm not, and I don't need to be. So what Ruiming always reminds me is that done is better than perfect, and I need to be reminded constantly. And Ruiming will just push me out like, hey, come on, next week we need to go. Then I just okay. So when somebody else is, I'm sort of have to be reliable to somebody else. It lights a fire under my ass, and it makes me push stuff out. And a lot of times, like things that I push out are like maybe 70% of what I would like to be able to do. But then, in hindsight, when I look at it, when I'm not fresh from doing the thing, I'm often surprised. Like, actually, this is not bad. Like, I did this. Wow, okay. So it's good to have somebody to kind of push me to push things out. What do you think, Ruiming? Are you afraid of failure, Ruiming?
Well, I think, of course, I am afraid of failure. and even though I've written for social media a while in Mothership, and I used to be like addicted to the thrill of seeing an article go viral. Like you refresh it, and then within 5 minutes it has 50 shares. I think like very few things can beat that adrenaline spike. Or maybe I'm just a nerd lah. Maybe I just don't have enough excitement in my life. Yeah. But I remember on the other spectrum, every time something tanked, right? Like 1 hour, then there are like 17 shares. Wow, I feel like absolutely miserable and just beat myself up over it. And I always tell myself like, and I think it still happens. I mean, some work seminar articles don't do as well as we hope they will do. And then I'll just tell myself like, oh my God, have I lost it? Am I like a loser now that there are only 17 shares on the article? Yeah. Then I have to remind myself like, hey, actually you have come like along. I talk to myself like, let's just role play for a while, okay? Like, hey, actually you have come a long way from writing Martial articles, and you aren't always expected to deliver something viral, and you don't really need. And okay, sorry, I should rephrase it. You don't always need to be validated by the crowd to prove that your work has value, even though it is good to be validated occasionally, because that objectively tells you whether or not you are a great writer or not. So I just look back into the past and think like, no, actually I've done this before and I've felt this way before. And the important thing is that you keep improving. I think with regard to Wei Chun said, there's this Buddhist saying like, if the tree falls in the forest, does it still make a sound? So I think working in journalism and publishing and maybe even advertising for part of my life has taught me that, you need to get the work out, otherwise the work is not there, or it doesn't mean anything. You can't build a client for it. So just get the work out,
Right.
and then after that, move on from there. I think I've known a lot of art directors who stay in the office until like 2-3 a.m. to just get that gradient or that drop shadow right. But actually, at the end of the day, the client doesn't care as much as you think they would. So in a way, it helps to separate, what is art and what is a piece of content that is meant to be more utilitarian. So yeah, for me, I think if you want to do something artistic, you can spend like years on it, and that's fine. If you want to help others, it's important that the content goes out, and it doesn't always need to be perfect.
Okay, I think those are two very great advices. One, find yourself a good partner that will push you, I think, forward. The second one is just get the work out there. I think it's easier said than done sometimes, but it's a I think true advice, something that we can live by every day. Talking about clients though, as you guys have you guys ever procrastinated in finding clients, especially for the work salary man, or like how do you overcome these procrastinations when it comes to your business?
So actually, almost all our clients are inbound. So they approach us. So we try to do that, because when clients are inbound, the dynamic is different. You get to negotiate more. You get to turn them down if like the brief is not suitable. So I think when it comes to procrastination, like it doesn't really affect like getting clients for us, but I think it does affect the creation of new content, because it can get quite difficult to think of a creative angle after a while. It also kind of affects us when we want to let's say explore different business models. For example, I've been working on a financial calculator thing for Work Salary for like I think months now, and I just haven't had like the drive.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. we should go talk to Sherwin soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I've just like put it at the back of my mind. So I think like that is really the main form of procrastination that we face. I think getting clients for now isn't a problem, but I think the day that we have to go and pitch for clients, it will be the day that I would honestly reflect back on content and see what we're doing wrong, because I think that is a preferred way of getting new business.
Yeah, but then I also have to remind you, Ruiming, like not when it comes to getting clients, but when it comes to dealing with clients, you also sometimes procrastinate when it comes to replying unpleasant client requests or emails. And it's really funny to see, because like Ruiming handles more of the business side than me. So when a client boss texts him, hey, what's going on? Then I will see him sweat in his desk, like at his desk. He's just like, oh, how to reply, and it'll ruin his day. And he won't reply, and I'm like, just reply it now and get it done with, get the unpleasant. Then you can carry on for the rest of the day. So it's also very funny to see like somebody who obviously is on the surface productive, but then I see all this stuff that is behind what other people see with Ruiming. And also I'm the same way. It's just in different ways that procrastination like that can ruin somebody's day. Any response to that, Ruiming? Sorry, I pauto you.
Hey, it's okay. Well, I mean, it's true. Sometimes I get a message down like, oh, okay, oh shit, it's quite bad. Okay, we'll look at it at the end of the day. And then like, it just goes on and on and on. And actually, that has cost me like a few problems, because obviously people get pissed and like, hey, how come I got blue tick? So every time that happens, I mean, it's been happening less lah. It's a reminder that like, hey, if you don't solve it, it will become bad. So I literally have to go put in a calendar to reply this WhatsApp, because yeah, the initial is big, like, especially as a person who does not like confrontation that much. It is very challenging for me. But
True.
yeah,
I think
like
all
I
of
said,
us can relate when it comes to clients. I think a lot of us also procrastinate in replying and all this sometimes. But I'm glad that you brought up your content, Ruiming, because I think a lot of us have enjoyed it and have followed you guys for the past 2 years. And I think quite a lot of it is because the finance advice or like tips that you guys do on your page is something that is so relatable. Like even the first article that you mentioned, Ruiming, about how to save $100,000 before you are 30. But a lot of us, I think, procrastinated, whether it comes to like saving or planning our finances, right? Do you guys have any kind of like small tip or advice, like a personal advice that we can do to just kickstart our financial planning, maybe in that sense?
So as the official layman advocate of the woke salaryman, meaning I'm the financially non-literate person. I always check the stuff when it comes to whether the man on the street can understand the technical stuff that we're going through. I find that what has really helped me, and I've procrastinated so much on so many things, like if there's money that I should invest, and with investing it's very different, and it's very urgent, not urgent, like it's very time-based, meaning if you don't do it now, you are losing an opportunity cost of your money being somewhere and earning interest for you. So what helps me is to, at a very foundational level, understand that the opportunity cost is there when it comes to money decisions, and also that there is no perfection. There is nobody that knows everything about every stock, about every option that you have when it comes to investing. And it's usually better, right, to invest in something that is not the best than to not invest at all. Because if you don't invest at all, you are definitely going to lose money to inflation, because it's going to overtake your money that's just sitting in your mattress somewhere. So just the two aspects are understanding at a fundamental level opportunity cost, and that you by delaying this decision is costing you money, and also by understanding that you don't need to know everything, you don't need to make the perfect calls. And they've done comparisons, where they try to simulate somebody timing the market exactly, so you would buy at the lowest point and sell at the highest point, versus somebody that just basically DCA, which is basically dollar cost averaging. That means every month I just buy $100 or however much money, the same amount of money every month. And the differences are actually not that huge for the amount of time that you will need to spend to monitoring it to really buy at the lowest and the highest. So actually just don't think so much about it and just start. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you, Ruiming?
Because so many of you guys are entrepreneurs. Maybe you guys might relate to this, but I think like if you want to start any business, like money is such a huge part of it. When you have money, you can start to make like really, really bold, really, really like crazy decisions. I remember when I first got my first 100,000 when I was 28, I just said, oh, actually now, if I could actually take one month off every year, because that was the passive income it was generating for me. When I reached 400,000, then it became more of like, actually now I can start a business, and even though there might be a long runway to success, I can actually wait out that success and develop like a really good product, exercise my full creativity on it without feeling stressed or whatever. So I think we all live in like big metropolises where the cost of living is really high, right? So I really don't think you can avoid money, especially if you want to start a business. So it's very important that you get it right first, because if you can't even get your personal finances right, then I think running a business will be like even more of a huge headache. Like once you take into account like rent, staff costs, and in Singapore we like have to pay CPF. If they, like
Right. Yeah.
whether you pay your employees bonuses, stuff like that.
All right. I think those two are very good advice. I think we have quite a few questions from our audience. So we'll take in maybe about 2 to 3 questions. For the questions, I would invite our audience to turn on their camera and ask the question themselves if they'd like. Otherwise, I can read the question for you. The first one is actually from Dalen. Dalen, do you want to share your, you want to open your camera and ask the question to Ruiming and Chun? Hi, Dylan. Okay, let me ask the question then. What's your process for coming up with a script? Like, how often do you procrastinate in the process of crafting it? I think he's referring to your posts and your little illustrations together with the concept.
So typically, Ruiming will start by writing a draft, and he writes it on Google Documents. So if we do a comic, he'll just do a slideshow, and he'll just do the text. Then if it's an article, he'll just send me the article. So I look at it, I decide sort of a general visual approach. So I think about it. And this is when I tend to procrastinate the most, because this is the most conceptual period. I'm just thinking, okay, so if we, for example, right now we're working on a comic about bonds. So I might think, okay, maybe I can do a pun. How about James Bond? Then I do a James Bond theme on it. And then I think about how I can execute it. And sometimes when I do it halfway, then I realize, actually the metaphor is too far removed. I need to make it a bit more straightforward. I might just take the whole theme up. So that's where most of the time is spent on my half. Because Ruiming, actually, he writes it pretty fast. I'm usually the production roadblock. I'm the one that will funnel down. Then I get stuck there because my stuff is very conceptual sometimes. So after that, I will do a sketch version, which is really quickly. The drawings are no more than 2 minutes long, because I don't want to get too attached to the drawings, so that when Ruiming say we take something, I don't feel too like my child has been taken out, he's killed my child, So I just spend no more than 2 minutes on the sketches per page, send it to him, he okays it, then send it back. If he okays the thing, then I send it back to me, then I just draw nicely, I do the finished illustrations. And that would be that. I think like the procrastination aspect nowadays usually doesn't come because we have deadlines. So we are trying to publish something every week. So you just feel it, and it's not the most productive way to do it. I think if our team expands, we'll definitely need to put in more steady workflows and Excel sheets, or telling everybody that's part of the thing, because it's a small office, 3 to 4 people, we can just say, hey, the thing not ready, I send it tomorrow. Okay, can. Yeah, that's our process. Yeah.
I see. Okay. All right. The next question is from Poe. Poe, do you want to open your camera and then ask the question to Wei Chun and Ruiming? I think everybody's a bit shy this morning. I'll ask the question. So how do you stay motivated, and where do you find inspiration?
Yeah, I think motivation comes quite easy, like for me personally, because I manage Instagram, right? And usually you get a lot of like DMs from people, not just Singapore, from actually all over the world. They ask for financial tips, ask for life advice, and usually these people, what they can be quite like encouraging when you give them like something useful. So the way I see is that our page has grown large enough to have like a sizable impact on people's lives. And I think when it comes to like meaning, right, I think it does a lot more meaning than what I was doing previously, which was like selling airline tickets for a budget airline in my advertising job, or writing articles for Mothership, which sometimes involve like quite trashy stuff, like
it's like 2 people fight in Geylang. Here's what happened.
Those are the kind of articles sometimes we
yes.
enjoy though.
Yeah, it's enjoyable,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But as a writer, maybe
Yeah,
not so
it,
fulfilling sometimes.
True.
yeah,
True.
it's enjoyable, but not exactly fulfilling. So I feel like this page, even though it has, I think less reach and less paid budget behind it compared to my two previous gigs. Yeah, I feel like the meaning is so much more. I think that is what keeps me going, and also because I have this worry for Singaporean millennials of our generation. Uh, I I tend to find that a lot of us have settled into this complacency uh, or or mindset that Singapore would be is something that will be successful forever, and I have this great fear that in 20 years Singapore will just be a country full of expensive people. Nobody wants to hire them, and being motivated to kind of have a say in changing the outcome like keeps me going, because maybe I'm just like a patriotic guy or something.
Well, I'm not a patriotic guy because I'm actually
Malaysian.
Malaysian. But then I like Singapore and I've chosen to live here. My wife is Singaporean. I bought a house in Singapore, so I'm invested in Singapore. I have CPF also, which is like Central Provident Fund, retirement fund that the government collect from you, and I'm invested in it as well. So I completely agree with Ruiming as an outsider because I came here when I was 7 years old. And from my kind of general experience, and I'm not at all saying that all Singaporeans are like this, or all young Singaporeans are like this. My feeling as a regional expat is that Singaporeans on the whole are not as hungry as their regional peers. And this is not say problematic, but it possibly could be a problem, right? Because we see it happening already. Remote working, we see internet speeds becoming so fast that outsourcing to other countries is so easy and accessible now. And if Singaporeans don't keep it up and just have this sense of prosperity, and we say this all the time, like there's this thing that talks about the cycle of nations of prosperity and wealth, like strong people create good times. Good times create weak people create bad times, and then bad times create strong people. So it's that cycle. So if you look at that cycle again, and that cycle is everywhere. It comes with recessionary cycles as well. When does recessionary cycles happen? When does depressions happen? It happens when there is a peak and then there's a bubble, something pops, and then it goes down. So if you look at that cycle, where is Singapore right now? It's only 50 plus years old. I would say Singapore, as an outsider, I would objectively say Singapore is good times. So what comes after good times? Weak people, bad times. And Singapore, I don't think has to tread down that path. But I think Singapore's continued success, right, will come in spite of this natural cycle of things. So, like Ruiming said, we are super motivated because we want to make sure that we help our generation and the generation below us coming up realize that your hunger is very important. We don't know how much is in Singapore's reserves as a small nation that is rich, but I don't think it is intergenerational reserves. I don't think it will be able to sustain Singapore or several generations of weak Singaporeans. That won't happen. And we might not see invasions from other countries coming in militarily, but you can see it happening with investments. So foreign investments might flood your country, and then it just comes to the point where nothing is locally owned anymore. Yeah. So that's our fear and that's our motivation.
And I think like it's particularly true for like a small island nation for Singapore, and especially why Singapore is so relevant to the world is because, for the lack of a better word, it's because it is rich. It is useful here. It is safe here. People actually want to put their money here. Family offices move from Hong Kong to Singapore. Other countries can afford to have bad leadership or like not so useful people for a long time. US could probably have Donald Trump, not to say he's a bad leader. I mean, they could be in turmoil for 5 years, 10 years, and they'll be okay. Singapore, I think if you have like turmoil for 5 years and we're basically screwed. So yeah, I think it's really important that we don't get complacent, and I think
Hey, sorry, you cut out at the end, Ruiming. You muted yourself. It's very important we don't get complacent
It's
and
like
Yeah,
a suspense.
it's very important we don't be complacent because our
why you mute yourself again? You muted yourself again
no
at that
I
part.
muted when I finished saying because I didn't want like
Oh no,
this-
can you just finish it? Because you muted yourself at exactly the same point. So you let
Oh,
it finish, then you mute
okay, sorry,
like long
yeah.
after
No,
that.
I'm just saying, it's very important that we are not complacent because our survival depends on it. Even more so compared to other bigger, stronger countries.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Over and out.
Okay, over and out.
All right. I think one last question that we can pick in for the day is also from Dylan again. How do you stay woke as a creative entrepreneurs as you get more popular or maybe have like lucrative deals? I think this is something interesting that you guys can share with us. So it's a
Sure.
tough question,
So actually,
definitely.
we couldn't. No, I think it's fine. We actually, we do publish a lot of sponsored content these days. I mean, not gonna lie, because which publishing firm doesn't do sponsored content nowadays? I mean, nobody
Right.
wants to pay for a subscription, right? Especially for this level of like broad personal finance content. So I think that can't be avoided. However, I think what I wish people kind of saw is that how we also like turn down like a lot of sponsored content, like especially from clients that are not suitable. I mean, we might have turned down like six figures just for the sake of that value that we bring to our audience.
Editorial integrity.
Yes, editorial integrity. I think it is important to realize that if you want editorial integrity, you're going to need to have some strong finances of your own. If not, you just accept every deal that comes by, right?
True.
The great thing about Woke Salaryman is that we started when we were both having full-time jobs. So we managed to save up during that period. And we're now in that position that we're able to turn down clients that we don't necessarily agree with. Some examples are like a lot of like buy now, pay later clients, which are the sort of clients that who encourage customers to spend beyond their means, or stuff like let's just say,
Is it like the monthly installment payment? So I'll buy something that is like a few $1,000s, but I pay monthly for it. So it seems like I can afford it when actually I shouldn't.
yes, exactly. Maybe stuff like a car, cigarettes, tobacco, alcohol, that kind of thing. And I think in the long term, this benefits us because people keep coming back to us because of our brand values, and also because we don't sell out in a way that negatively affects our audience. So we try to sell out in a way that it's a win-win situation. It's a win for the advertiser, it's win for us, it's win for audience. If we don't hit any of these three wins, we won't do the sponsored content. And I think we can only say this because we are financially quite solid.
Yeah, and it's painful, I tell you. Like sometimes I think about the money that we turn down. Wow, it hurts my soul. Because like I won't say how much, but I mean it's not altruistic also. Like it is only partly altruistic because we are also using our reputation as a sort of a metric that we keep a close eye on. So having a good reputation will allow us to make more money down the road because we would be more influencing of people, So it is difficult, but also like I think what a very cool aspect of Dylan's question was he asked about creative entrepreneurship. Now, to me, when I was young, that seemed like it was a oxymoronic thing to say.
Yeah.
Creative entrepreneurs got such thing, man. Like because creativity is something I liken to a curse.
Yeah.
Like we enjoy things, we're able to discern true quality. We can enjoy more when it comes to great acts of creativity, but then it also compels us to do it and do it well. Otherwise, we are miserable. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, right, it was so difficult for me as an artist to thinking about money. I used to think it was such a taboo thing. I refused to think about money and art in the same sentence because that would be like betraying my one and only true ultimate love in life. you know. And then when I sold out for a while because I went and did marketing. I actually studied animation and I wanted to be a hardcore animator in the studio, that kind of thing. And I never did it full time because the money is very difficult. It's not good, you know. So I sold out to go marketing because marketing paid well, and I felt miserable for a while because I'm like, I've done it. Like I've cheated on my one true passion in life. Like I've turned my back away from what grinds my gears and makes me motivated in life. But then actually, right, the irony is that having sold out for a while gave me enough financial cushion to then do work salaryman full time. So this idea of creative people and artists and money, I think it has to be something that has to be talked about. And artists are really bad at this stuff, and I am such a advocate for it. I will argue people to the high heavens when it comes to selling out because, you know, and actually a lot of this stuff just goes on in my own head as an artist, and it's my own ego against sabotaging because I think I'm better than that. I think I should have these values. I should be noble like this or that. But if you can't pay the bills, if you don't have rich parents, if you don't have a crazy amount of wealth that allows you to retire in the mountains and just do your art now for the rest of your life, you have to create that privilege for yourself before you can embark on this thing. That's why we like the idea of Ikigai, if you heard about it before. Ikigai is this sort of, it's not really Japanese, it's a Japanese concept then that was like later on like reframed by some Western people into something else. But I think it's very useful as a framework. And it basically is a Venn diagram of 4 intersecting circles. And if you have all 4 of these factors, you have what is, I think, is like a very good work-life balance kind of thing when it comes to meaning. So the 4 is, if I just get it off the top of my head, like something that you're good at, something that you like doing, something that benefits society for you to do, and something that you can earn money doing. So I feel like, and I think Ruiming agrees with me also, that the work salaryman is right now the closest that we have to this idea of all these 4 coming together for Ikigai. So I just really think it's such an absolute necessity for creative people to think about money and think about it as early as possible. Because even if you want to do pure art, which is just expression without any think of money, like you need to have money first. You need to have a sponsor, and if you have a sponsor, then the sponsor will dictate. You always have a client. So if you really want art for art's sake, be prepared to starve or create that privilege for yourself so that you can do it, you know, because not all of us, we cannot choose to have rich parents. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
All right, great. I think thank you so much, Wei-Chun and Ruiming, for your time this morning. And I think such an interesting talk for, you know, the topic of procrastination. Thank you also everyone for asking your questions. We will end our session today with a 30-second pitch. So we will invite our audience to, if you're looking for a job, if you have a job that you want to share with everybody, we invite you to open up your camera and then share it with us. In 30 seconds, anything that you're looking for. So let me just share my screen. Yes, so please feel free to open up your camera.
Hi, okay, I have one. Hi, Nick here.
Go ahead, Nick. Yeah.
All right, so I'm currently looking for jobs, specifically either in tech, marketing, entertainment marketing, like the Netflix or, you know, Disney or Amazon Prime, or management consulting. If anyone knows anyone who knows anyone who knows anyone, please let me know. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Nick Chia, NICCHIA, or you can find me on CreativeMornings, the Singapore page. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, I can vouch for that. Nick is a great writer. If you guys have any interesting jobs for him, do PM him or find him on LinkedIn. I'll leave one more spot maybe for anybody out there who have anything interesting to share with us. Even if you have any events coming up in Singapore that you want to let everybody know, do feel free to open your camera and share.
Hi, I've got a quick pitch. Can I?
Hi, Gwen. Yes.
Hey.
Hi.
I like Nick, I'm also looking for a job at the moment. My background is in journalism, so I am a writer for hire. And I am currently transitioning into content marketing. I recently worked at T2T. as their Singapore market lead. So marketing, writing, editorial content. Yeah, if you know anyone who knows anyone who is looking for anyone, then please reach out to me as well.
Yes, do
Where
reach
can we
out to
find
Yoon.
you?
Sorry?
Where can we find you?
You can find, well, I can drop my email into the chat. How's that?
Okay, do feel free to drop your
Guys.
email to the chat. And then if anybody is looking for a writer or content writing, right, Gwen specifically, yes, do reach out to her. All right, and I think with that, we will end our session for today. Thank you again for both of our speakers. It was so great, such a fantastic morning to start off the weekend with. I hope you guys have a great and safe weekend ahead. If you have any more questions that you have in mind for Ruiming and Choon, please feel free to drop it into our Instagram chat as well. We can we can send it across to them, and then they can answer it for you guys. And with that, okay, thank you so much, and
Thank
have a great
you.
weekend, everyone. Bye bye.
We had fun. Bye bye.